I'm really appreciating our conversation, man, about manhood. I'm actually learning quite a bit talking with you. I really thank God for what He's doing, and I'm glad we're sharing some pretty private moments in our own lives
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
discover manhood and masculinity, and to address scars and to address wounds that have a tendency to stay unhealed
Hmm.
because of not wanting to go into certain areas in my life, and hearing things about your life, and understanding that though we have flaws, that we're developing character, which I'm going to let you take that because that's kind of where we're headed today.
Yeah, I wanted to really just talk a little bit further. I mean, we got into some great conversation last time we were together about, the dividing line between men and boys, right? What's the difference between men and boys, and talking about immaturity and what we kind of boiled it down to is it has to do with character. It has to do with what kind of character we have developed on the inside, right? Because when you talk about the difference between personality and character, like personality is what people see when they look at you, not necessarily like my watch and stuff like that, but the fact that they see whether you are very animated, or they see that you're very gregarious, and those type of things. That's all personality,
Yeah.
and personality is cool. I mean, if you don't have any kind of personality, you're going to struggle in this world. However, what I've found is people spend a lot more time trying to develop their personality, and men specifically spend a lot more time trying to develop their personality or their approach, to different situations, all their polish, as opposed to what's on the inside, and to me, character is that stuff that's on the inside. It's the foundational stuff on the inside of you that when you peel back all of the acting and all of that other
The
stuff, and the
masks we wear,
what's that?
the masks that we wear.
Yeah, the mask, right? The mask that we wear, you're left with character.
Yeah.
What's really at the bottom of it?
Who are you when you're alone?
Oh, dang. Okay. See, now you just like dove down into the deep end, right? I mean,
Yes.
who was it that said that? That said character is who you are when you're all by yourself.
Yeah.
Another person said it this way. They said your character is who you are when nobody's watching,
Yes. There you go. There
right?
you
When nobody can see you. If you knew that nobody would ever know that you did something, what would you do?
Yep. Yep.
That's your
one
character.
hundred
That's
percent.
who you are on the inside,
Yeah, that
you
is no
know?
personality. That's when the door closes, there you are. And it's hard to, I have found it so hard over the years to live out of my true authentic self because of wanting people's acceptance. And so that in itself has stopped me from wanting to develop character versus where can I fit in. And that to me has a lot to do with the boy or the immature person in me versus the man, because I'm so concerned with your opinion of what you think about me versus here I am, because it's really hard. Like, I'm an introvert, which the irony with that is being a public speaker.
Wait a minute. Wait, time out. You're an introvert.
Yes, I'm an introvert.
You're an introvert.
I am an introvert. I'm a
And I
true,
would have never, I would have never
yeah, yep.
pegged
Isn't
you
that
as it.
weird
Why,
the test I
why do
take?
you say you're an introvert?
Um, because I'm at my best when I'm one on one with somebody.
Okay.
Yeah, I can spend hours and hours and hours by myself. I can sit and listen and study. And that's, I mean, and to be honest, man, that's how I've been able to start working on the books that I'm writing, um, speaking material, because I can spend hours by myself. And so it's so ironic that, here I am as a public speaker and I'm actually more comfortable alone. So
That's
what,
interesting. Let me dive
yeah,
into that because, I mean, we've known each other forever. I
Ever.
mean, way back
Forever.
when. And I remember, man, you were the life of the party person. You were the one who was the most boisterous. You were the one who was clowning the most. I mean, that's who Dave always was. But now you're like, nah, I'm really an introvert.
I'm gonna
So,
add to that.
okay, yeah, yeah.
However, because like I've said before, the boy versus man,
Mm,
boys have a tendency to overcompensate.
that's interesting.
And with me wanting to be accepted, what's the best way? You come in controlling. Hey, what's up? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? That's when I'm generally very quiet. When I get into my character, um, I'm an observer. I have always believed that education can help you make a living, but observation will help you live life.
Mm,
And so I've the more quiet I am, and I like to be, and I'll sit back. I'm a watcher. I like to sit back and watch people. I love that. I love to listen. And a lot of times, like some people say, you can be a good listener, but you're not hearing
mm.
because you're so busy. You're listening, but you're so busy calculating a response that you're really not listening. You're
Right,
coming up with a
right.
response.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I can be a good listener. However, sometimes my response might take a day or two because I'm really listening. So I don't have anything to say because I want to hear everything you have to say, which is a great attribute to my character. Okay. That's something that has been developed quite well. And of course, as being a barber, hairstylist, you know, I've had to do that for over 30 years. So you get good at listening. Um, However, it still didn't negate my wanting to overcompensate. So when I was in the gym, I wanted to lift the most weights. When I'm cutting hair, you want to do the best haircuts. It's like it's a good goal to be the best, but I've always had a problem with having a character issue with wanting to be number one versus wanting to be unique.
It's interesting. You're kind of diving into something that made me think a little bit because I think there's a lot of good things we can do, right? I mean, I think that sometimes we get caught up as men in the fact that, well, what I'm trying to do is good, but are you doing it for the right reasons?
Come on.
Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yes.
And so whether, I think it comes down to where your identity is,
Whew.
right? I mean, like, what are we doing to draw our identity?
Yep.
I know for me personally, my identity is an accomplishment all the time. I mean, that's like my thing. I think you have more identity in people's opinion, whereas to
Mhm.
me, it's about am I achieving? I got to be an achiever. I gotta get this done. I got to get that done, and when I start pulling my identity from those things is when I get off balance and I start getting into like overcompensation, right? Like you
Yep.
just said, you slide back into this thing where if I'm not achieving, then I'm not worth anything.
Perfection can be a curse.
Oh yeah, yeah, and for me, honestly, it's not perfection. I mean, because I'm far from that,
No, but
but
that's the goal. The reason
it
why,
can be, yeah.
yeah, the reason why you're trying to accomplish so much is to reach a level of perfection.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. I mean, so what a lot of times I look
If
at it,
that's your identity, if you're seeking that for your identity, then you can say, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did
right,
this. So what?
my value. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where
your
I pull my value, when I'm not pulling that value straight from God,
oh,
you know,
100%.
and that's the key. I mean, it's interesting when we talk about character. I don't think you can really develop good character. I mean, truly good character until you've dealt with your identity, right?
Yeah.
Because
Which is all
otherwise,
done
say
through
that again.
through dark moments. It's all done through dark moments in our lives. Your character, if everything always went well, do you think you could still develop character?
That's a great question. And that gets into the whole, why are we here and why is there a devil, right? I mean, wow.
Why do we
Yeah.
have an enemy?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
We
when you
have
think
an
about
enemy of our
that
soul.
though, I mean, God created this entire universe. I mean, he created the entire universe knowing that we were going to fall.
Yep.
And he created it all and he built it in such a way that he went ahead. So obviously God is not concerned about everything happening exactly perfect for us. And this is really about us being developed for something else, And I think we lose track of that so easily. I mean, we start looking at life, we start looking at things, we start driving. I mean, that's me. I'm a driver, and so I'm driving towards stuff, trying to achieve things, not realizing that that's not what this is really about. This whole time here on earth is really about me developing myself to become more like him and developing my relationship with him. And if I'm not doing that, then I've lost or missed the whole purpose of this life.
And part of manhood, the thing that amazes me most about God is that throughout Scripture, he's called Father.
Mm-hmm.
He gave us that same title. That's amazing to me. Because when you have a child, you become a father. God never called himself a mother, not one time.
See, that'll get us in trouble. Start talking about that.
Yeah, well, you want to get into mother, let's talk about Mother Nature. But when we talking about God the Father, who is Abba, who is Aramaically, I believe, definitely Hebrew means source. So my Father who art in heaven, that's my source. So what are you drawing off of?
Right.
Out of the belly flow rivers of living water, out of the inside of us. But when those waters get contaminated, what is spewing out of your mouth? Is it fresh water? Is it salt water? And so depending on what we're pulling on as far as identity, here's the biggest to me. No, I'm not gonna go there.
Oh boy, I want to hear later where that was gonna go.
Yeah. It's gonna be deep, man, because it has a lot to do with identity.
Well, see, then and that to me, when you talk about it has a lot to do with identity. I mean, I think that's like the first step to starting to mature as a man.
Thank you. I appreciate
is finding out where your identity is, right? I mean,
gave me permission.
Putting it in the right place.
So